Welcome back for another vlog. In this vlog, I want to talk about keeping your snakes in rack systems as opposed to just a tank. I'm going to start off by saying the pros versus a rack versus a tank. So number one, rack systems are more compact. It's easier to maintain, and if you have guests who aren't too fond of your slithery critters, it just looks like drawers. You can't see, well, you can get clear tubs, and then there's tubs that you can get that aren't clear. I'll show you mine later, but right now I'm talking about the pros. Right now I'm talking about the pros to keeping your snakes in a rack system. Heating. You don't need a heat lamp. You got heat tape in the back, and you have to have it on a thermostat, but the thermostat will do all the work. Once you get it right, you got to play around with it. Make sure you get it right before you put the animals inside. You don't want the animal to get burned or anything. So it's always good to get a temperature gun. This is my temperature gun. It's just a cheap Ryobi. I got it from Home Depot. If you look, you can see the temperature. Another perk to keeping your snake in a rack is, well, if you have ball pythons, which are known to be pretty picky, and they prefer dark spaces, dark small places, so being enclosed in a dark place, being in the rack, really helps keep them feel secure. I noticed a huge difference when I moved mine from my ball python, no feet, from the tank into the rack. There was a huge difference. Ever since I've been using the rack, he has never missed a meal, aside from when he was in shed. Another thing I like about racks is how convenient it is to just open and pull the drawer open, as opposed to having locks on top of a screen and having to pick the screen up and reach in. And I think that gives you, the snake, more of an opportunity to strike at you if it's going to, when you're reaching in its habitat to do something, rather than in a rack system. You can easily locate the snake and pick him up if you have to, move him out of there to clean, do what you gotta do, whatever maintenance you gotta do, give him fresh water. Most snakes shouldn't have to be removed for water, but if you're cleaning the whole thing, obviously you've got to remove the snake. But when I move my Tiger out of his tub, I take him completely out. Not that he bothers me, but it's so he doesn't get into or wander off and get into anything I don't want him to get into, where I can't find him or anything. So I put him in a separate tub while I'm cleaning his enclosure and getting water. So now I'm going to show you my rack system, and I'm going to tell you where I got my racks and tubs from. So these are my racks that I have. They're from Animal Plastics. These tubs I had to get separately. These ones are from, I think they're called the Container Store, I believe. There's Julius. Hey, buddy. There he is. And on the set, these are Freedom Breeder tubs. I got them separately from Freedom Breeder. There's no feet. Here's Moses. And here's Tigger. Here's Tigger. Okay. I still have to fill this rack I'm using specifically for colorbridge, and this one pythons, although I do have the one Central American boa Moses in the middle, and I got my retic in the bottom. That both of them will be moving out of here as soon as I move somewhere where I have more room, and they'll get their own terrarium or enclosure set up. That's not a tub. For here, I'm looking for a king snake or a Pueblan milk snake, and I also would like a hognose, a western hognose. So those are what those two are reserved for. The place I got my rack and tubs from, I'll put the links down below. Actually, if you go to the Ammo Plastics website, they have the link to the container store that I was talking about, where I got my clear tubs and my colorbrid rack from. But I'll include that in the link in the description below as well. Now I'm going to talk about tanks. If you're just keeping, a couple snakes, that's fine. And some people like being able to look in and looking at, and that's fine too. But for example, a ball python, it can be done, but it's very difficult. And that's one of the reasons why rack systems are better, just because it's more compact, and if you have a lot of snakes, it takes up way less space and it keeps everything more organized. And I'm someone, I like to be organized. But now we're talking about tanks. So the cons to tanks is they're big and bulky and they take up a lot of space. The good thing about tanks is you can decorate them nicely and have a nice habitat for them, and you can look inside and see them if they're not hiding. So that's one of the great things about tanks. Now in another video in the future, I think I'm going to do a video about on how to set up a ball python tank, because it's very simple but very complex as far as what you need to do. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. The pet stores, Petco, and all the other pet shops, they usually don't give out the right info. They sell you a bunch of crap that you don't need, and stuff that's actually going to make your ball python sicker and bring its health down. For example, lights, heat lamps. Heat lamps are bad for their eyes, so you want to get that on just replace the bulb with a ceramic heat emitter. You screw it right in like a bulb, but you have to plug the lamp into a thermostat, which you can easily get, and have the probe so you can adjust the temperature so it doesn't get too hot, and if it gets too hot, it will shut off so you don't burn your animal. Again, I just want to reiterate that there's nothing wrong with using tanks. Not at all. It's just easier to have a rack system if you're keeping a lot. Multiple snakes, especially for breeders. But I also think, like I said, ball pythons do better in racks. And there are other animals too, but ball pythons are very common animals in the pet trade, so that's why I'm talking about ball pythons as opposed to anything else. And ball pythons is something that I have a good knowledge on. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please treat everyone with love, respect, and kindness always, whatever time it is, day, night, evening. Have a great rest of your day. Respect the cold-blooded. Kritter Kyle, out.